Welcome to the Global Peace Film Festival Lives Online Conversation 2022 Festival Edition. Please join me, Kelly Devine, the Artistic Director, and Nina Strike, the Executive Director, in welcoming Juan Carlos Borrero, the director of A Call for Peace, a film that you can see as a part of the 2022 Global Peace Film Festival. The dates for our in-person programming begin September 19th and run through September 25th. That is immediately followed by a week of virtual access to our programming, which begins September 26th and ends October 2nd. Please go to peacefilmfest.org for all the information about ticketing, scheduling of our film events, and other in-person events throughout the festival. We thank you and welcome Juan Carlos to the conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation, Nina and Kelly. I really appreciate it.
Hi, hi, Juan Carlos. It's good to have you
Mm.
with us. So let's start by Juan Carlos. Please tell us about A Call for Peace.
Well, A Call for Peace is a documentary film about the Colombian peace process. This peace process was finally signed in a peace agreement on 2016. It lasted for 5 years in Havana. It was in between the government of Colombia and the oldest guerrilla group in the country, which is the FARC. This conflict lasted for more than 50 years. Has like more than 300,000 victims and millions of displaced people. And it was one of the most, like, I think the longest conflict in the continent, I believe so.
Could you tell us, Juan Carlos, a bit about what was important to you personally in capturing this process and what your approach was?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Colombia. Since I remember, there's been war in my country and too many failed attempts to peace. So people in general gets in Colombia was totally in this belief that any agreement of that this war will end at any time. And at the end of the process, after the probably third or fourth year, you will be able to see that this process was really happening, that peace was within reach in Colombia. And that was very exciting for me to see that in my lifetime, I will be able to see peace in my country. So when at the end of the process was like becoming real, I wanted to tell that story. And I started doing some research in the last 2 years of the peace process. The story that I wanted to tell was the behind the scenes of the peace process, how a peace process works, how you get to a peace process, how you get to a negotiating table. What is that process? What involves? And I learned through that research that for first time in a peace process, the government of Colombia got surrounded by a group of experts. This group of experts were part of the peace process even before that the peace process started. That were advising the president in every step along the way before. And they developed a strategy, and that strategy was kept until the end of the peace process. So, and this group of people were part of different peace processes around the world before. People with great experience in peace process that were like failed peace process and successful peace process. So everything was based in lessons learned along the way. And each of these persons gave different advice in different segments of the process to the President Santos. So for me, it was really interesting to see that. And I was able to build a story around each peace process along the way with each of these characters, but everything at the end goes into the Colombian peace process?
Well, then I think anyone who is fortunate enough to see the film, and I really recommend anyone listening go out and find the
Mhm.
film, come to Global Peace and watch it, is that you really capture you really do a fantastic job of capturing that behind the scenes feeling. Um, and it's a very hopeful feeling that you're left with in seeing the film, because you do get the sense of the complexity and the human um, foibles that are involved in building peace, and it demystifies it, but it also makes you aware that even if you don't see the peace process right in front of you, it's always happening behind the scenes. And can you talk about how you were able to make that feel so fresh and to bring the passion of the speakers to the forefront the way that you do?
Well, these people they are in fact very passionate about peace. They are like, they spend their whole lives working in peace. So for example, when I went to interview Jonathan Power in London, he was just coming from North Korea, working in a deal in a peace process with North Korea. When I went to Oxford, Joaquin Villalobos was working with the Venezuelan process. So it's people that is like live for it, have the passion for it, and it's easy once you get some trust with them and they believe in what you are doing. It's easy to get the passion out of them because that's the love of their lives. It's what they do, and that's very interesting to find people like that. I never thought it would be people who actually dedicated their lives to do that with any reward, because most of them they get money from their NGOs or charities that they have, but they don't receive payments from the government doing this kind of work.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So
That's
it's a
something.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I think that makes it all the more um, fantastical to that these people dedicate themselves so wholeheartedly to something. It, that's a wonderful thing to know. Um, I'm here surprised to hear that. What were the things that surprised you as a part of the process?
uh, it's something that is very basic that comes along the way talking to everybody involved in this peace process. That is something very easy and basic, that is put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And that's a basic rule when you approach a peace process, that you don't think about it. Because you are sitting facing your enemy, your adversary. So, but the first thing that you learn in this peace process is that people, these persons, that's the first thing they do. They like, okay, who is these people, where they're coming from, and how we can get an agreement where they realizing what they're thinking, what they want, what they went through. So how we can get to a common point. And that was the kind of interesting to hear something that very basic that you don't apply, basically.
That's
Thinking an enemy.
very good point.
Yeah.
And it sort of leads me to tie this film together with the Global Peace Film Festival mission, which is not simply to show films in order to impart the story, but we really sincerely hope that people in watching the work that we program will find a model, or will find something that resonates with them about the story that they can take back into their own lives or back into their own communities. To model peace, to make to work towards a more just community. What would be the things that you might see people taking away from this remarkable breakthrough in peace? As you said, your country had been at war for 50 years.
I think it's things of perseverance. It is will. It's like you have to believe in the politician's will. I mean, once you have a politician that have the will to do a peace process, That's probably the most important thing, because a politician knows that once they get into a peace process, this is the end of their career. Because once you get together in a room with a terrorist group or somebody who is being like signaled as a unlawful group, you lose all your political ground. That picture is going to carry on forever with you. So you have to have politicians with the courage and the value that knows that this is the end of the careers, but it's the beginning of a new path for the country. So that's something interesting to also to know and to understand. And how the politicians understand that they're willing to do it. I mean, people who has the courage to do it, right? Because most of them think it's about in their own careers, in their own future.
That's fascinating and just so important to put, to put the well-being of your country ahead of your career. So Juan Carlos, you have an organization called acallforpeace.org, or that's the website, which is where you've done this film through. What can people watching this do to support your work, and what comes next for you?
Well, we are working at this moment in different projects. I'm always interested in the issue of peace. It's been interesting to me how this can really change a country. You can see really a change in society. So something that really struck me during this documentary is like there was like not too many women involved in peace. So there was a lot of women supporting the peace process, but at the negotiating table or at any negotiating table in the past, there were like almost no women. So I have a hard time finding somebody at the negotiating table from the other gender to talk about the peace process. And so my next film is about women in peace, but also what involves peace, right? So it's also education, environment, peacekeeping. So we are looking, we actually are done, and we did some research in different leaders, women leaders around the world, that they do like outstanding work in these issues and really help in their societies, in their communities, to transform the life of the people around them.
That's a fantastic project, and a lot to think about in terms of that gender equity and what the outcomes for peace could be and how they could be different.
Exactly.
Very good. Well, we've learned so much from this conversation, Juan Carlos, and thank you for taking the time and your thoughtfulness to share with our audiences. And I just want to say thank you also to everyone who's watched this Glow, and please recommend that they seek out acallforpeace.org to learn more information about Juan Carlos's work, his ongoing work, and ways to find to watch A Call for Peace. And please do go to peacefilmfest.org in order to learn when the film is scheduled and all of the other upcoming events for the 20th anniversary Global Peace Film Festival. That's peacefilmfest.org. The festival begins September 19th and runs through October 2nd. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at the next Glow.
Thank you for the invitation.
Our pleasure.
All right.